there yet to be discovered because it's new to sloppy as fuck. A lot of the community is doing. For anybody who's not up to speed with what's been going on, producer Pasta, a YouTube horror narrator with like 2 million subscribers, has been outed for grooming several underage.
So I was playing Minecraft one day and I saw that. Yeah, that's enough. So I was playing Minecraft one day and I saw that. Yeah, that's enough Thursday. I have built 13 redstone computers in Minecraft, each improving on the last. And Iris is my latest computer. Iris so far has run through Minecraft in Minecraft, a ray tracer, Elite, Tetris, and many more things. Please note, building computers is one of the most complex, time-consuming, and masochistic things you could possibly do with redstone. In this video, I will explain how my latest Minecraft computer was designed, and how it works in excruciating detail, hence the length of this video. So with that, let's set the scene, the origin of Iris. My previous computer was the MQ8, which was extremely fast with a 3.3 times quantity and a 9-stage pipeline. Originally, the sequel to MQ8 is going to be MQ9. MQ9 would have been very similar to MQ8, but with a better screen and a hardware line drawer. But that was all about to change when a new technique for running Minecraft computers started to be used. This is MCHPRS. It is a Minecraft server written in Rust, which is specifically designed to run redstone as fast as possible. MCHPRS allows you to run redstone at millions of ticks per second instead of the mean 10 ticks per second that vanilla Minecraft runs at. Until now, Minecraft computers were designed for vanilla Minecraft, where every Minecraft computer had to run at a really slow 10 ticks per second. So these computers, such as the MP8, were designed with the goal of maximizing the amount of stuff done per clock cycle and minimizing the ticks per clock cycle, which meant to begin with, no Minecraft computer could take full advantage of the insane speed of MCHPRS. That was until someone that you may have heard about came along. This is Sammy Fury with their Minecraft computer called Hudson 2. Unlike most computers around at the time, Sammy's computer was fairly simple and slow by comparison. But this, by chance, ended up working massively in their favor, as the relative simplicity of their design meant MCHPRS was able to speed it up by almost 2 orders of magnitude more than other computers. Sammy then capitalized on this ginormous advantage and was able to push the limits of what Minecraft computers could do. At the time, many people in the Minecraft computer community, including myself, were unsure if MCHPRS should be used, because after all, it is using external tools to avoid one of the main challenges of redstone. But Sammy's YouTube videos absolutely exploded, getting millions of views. They then followed up on this success by making Minecraft in Minecraft, which again absolutely exploded on YouTube. And from this, Sammy went on to win the Redstone Award show. This undeniable success turned MCHPRS from a controversial tool to being absolutely required for anyone in the Minecraft computer community to be able to compete. So how does MCHPRS work? Unlike vanilla Minecraft, MCHPRS has no fixed speed limit, which lets you run redstone at any speed you like, as long as your real-life computer can handle it. This means the speed the redstone runs at is limited solely by how laggy it is, instead of how many hits it running at the exact same speed. This is why Sally's relatively simple designs are able to run so fast. Chunker 2's design happens to cause very little lag, allowing them to run over 100,000 times faster than vanilla Minecraft. For comparison, my previous computer, MQ8, only ran 2,500 times faster. So although MQ8 was by far the fastest computer in vanilla Minecraft, it was very laggy, causing it to run drastically slower on MCHPRF. Personally, of course, I wasn't too happy about it, as MCHPRF is incentivized building complex computers, such as the ones I've been building for years, and massively benefited dumbed-down designs which happen to cause less lag. But it was made very clear what the wider Minecraft community wanted. So I either had to completely change how I designed my computers, or quit, leaving behind the 5 years of work I had put in. Obviously, I chose the former option. I completely scrapped the plans to build MPU9, meaning MPU8 is the last of the MPU series of Redstone computers, and I started building Iris, the very computer this video is about. So the main goal of Iris was design a computer specifically optimized for MCHPRF. The design would take the idea of simpler design giving less lag to its absolute extreme. Luckily for me, even though Chunker 2 ran very well on MCHPRF, it wasn't specifically designed for it, meaning I found an absolute ton of things that I could improve upon. The first and most obvious thing that had to change was the pipeline. In real computers, pipelining increases the speed of the computer by allowing instructions to run without waiting for the previous instructions to finish. In vanilla Minecraft, pipelining reduces the number of hits it takes to run a program, making it run faster with the constant 10 hits per second. But on MCHPRF, pipelining is very bad, as it causes extra lag and makes the CPU exponentially more complex. MQ8 had a 9-stage pipeline, whilst Chunker 2 had a 4-stage pipeline. So taking this to its logical extreme, obviously Iris must have a 1-stage pipeline. The next big thing that had to change was the clock speed. For real computers, you generally want the clock speed to be as fast as possible, and the same applies to vanilla Minecraft computers. But as I said earlier, that's not how MCHPRS works. Prior to building Iris, I purposefully slowed down the clock speed on MQ8 to test what the speed on MCHPRS would be. I tested a bunch of clock speeds, and I found that no matter how slow the clock speed was, MCHPRS would speed up the redstone to make it the same speed. So the time taken per clock cycle is directly proportional to the redstone speed. What this means is the clock speed does not matter, as the only thing that matters is the lag. So a computer that takes twice as many hits per clock cycle but produces half as much lag will end up running at the same speed. But in general, the longer a clock cycle takes, the more stuff a computer can do per clock cycle. The clock speed on MQ8 was only 3 ticks, which meant it did very little per clock cycle, while Chunker 2 had a 10-tick clock, so it could do more stuff per cycle. So taking this to its logical extreme means Iris must have a very slow clock speed to maximize the amount of stuff it does per clock cycle. I wanted to push it as far as I possibly could, so I decided to build in a 173-tick clock speed on Iris, which is enough time that Iris can do a division operation in a single clock cycle. Division on real computers is usually one of the most expensive and slowest operations, but with this design on MCHPRF, it ends up being almost the same cost with an added function. For Iris, the pipeline and clock speed are the main things that have to change, but as well, all of the components inside of Iris had to be rebuilt from scratch and redesigned to cause as little lag as possible, as Every single torch or repeater I remove indirectly increased the speed and CPRS would run at. The goal of Iris was to run programs that I could only dreamed of being able to run, things such as Elite and a Wolfenstein-style raid character. And yes, I know, there's a pretty big elephant in the room, but I genuinely did not believe Iris would be capable of anything more than simple wireframe 3D. And even if it was able to do more than that, at the time I had almost zero experience with 3D rendering. So as a result, I did not design Iris with any hardware to make 3D rendering faster. Until now, every computer I had built was 8-bit, but this severely limited what they would be capable of to do.
A little while ago, I built this thing. It's a dish with 4 E magnets arranged around the rim, with the North Pole. Oh. Evangelion doesn't answer many questions about its history. It leaves us in constant darkness of the events that transpired before Shinji was instructed to pilot Evo 01. That doesn't mean there isn't a record of the story's history. Here I'll bring to light what led to the city of Tokyo 3 to lead such a pilot to end. What the scriptures of the first ancestral race, the 2 impacts that left the Earth's crust scarred, the twin moons that brought life to this planet, all meant for life in our galaxy. There's a lot of mythology to unravel, incidents to make sense of. This is the story of what happened before Neon Genesis began. This is the lore of Evangelion. In the beginning, in a time with no specified years, there was life on another world, the first ancestral race, the true creators of humanity as we know it. This race of living organisms populated some world within our galaxy, but as does every great civilization, there came a time of its eventual collapse. Faced with certain extinction of their kind, the first ancestral race's 7 surviving beings mounted 7 carrier vessels, which we would come to know as moons, carrying seeds of life. Each of the 7 seeds was unique in genetic material, representing the 7 surviving ancestors that used their bodies and souls as data for these carriers of life. Their intent was to send these moons containing their essence to planets across the Milky Way so that life would not die out. Their legacy would live on in the bodies of their descendants. Each seed was dramatically different from the others, each with specific attributes that would assist in new life prosper. But there was the worry that no 2 seeds could coexist on the same world. The ancestral race had advanced over millennia, become something close to the perfect, beings that could thrive as simply souls or in physical forms. Something as simple as coexisting with those different was not such a difficult task. But these offspring would be too raw and unpredictable. They'll conflict and use violence to solve disagreements. So within each moon a spear was added, a weapon that would act as a failsafe to prevent a moon from spreading its light if another was already present on this planet, in hopes of avoiding a race war between their different descendants. Alongside the failsafe, one other item was stowed on each vessel. The Dead Sea Scrolls, objects that outline the use of each moon if life was to discover them, either in a dormant or active state. It would outline the history of the first ancestors and bring light to their beginnings. It would also outline the protocol for using these moons in hopes of avoiding the gravest of sins, meshing the genetic and soul material of 2 separate ancestors. With the 7 moon vessels ready to depart across the galaxy, the 7 remaining ancestors gave their bodies and souls to the next generations of life. Only their plan faced many obstacles.
of 5 of the moons is of no interest to us, but there was one that made it to the planet known as Earth, one dubbed due to its color, the white moon. The white moon safely nestled itself into modern-day Antarctica, where it's still devoid of any sign of life. Per its protocol, the first ancestor we come to know as Adam spread a form of life across the planet, though it wasn't human as you may have thought. A life form known as angels spread across the earth. Their seeds of life contain an attribute coined as the fruit of life, a fruit giving these organisms with unlimited energy and immense physical strength. These angels were diverse in form, some large, others small. Many were constructed of physical matter, while others were like great balls of energy. The angels thrived on this planet, bringing to Earth its first form of life. But the success of Adam's reproduction of the galaxy was short-lived. The day of the first impact marks the end of the repopulation of the white moon. Another of the 7 moons had stumbled upon Earth, crashing into its crust in what is modern-day Hanoi, Japan. The black moon of the ancestral Lilith wiped out a large percent of angel life on Earth in a mass extinction event rivaling that of the dinosaurs. The first ancestors had protocol for an issue such as this, and the black moon sphere of Longinus should activate, preventing Lilith's offspring from harming the angel spread of life. Only it had lost its sphere when crashing into Earth. But the only way to stop Lilith's production of offspring gone, the white moon is forced to use its own sphere, deriving Adam's descendants their birthright from the planet of Earth. The creation of angels ceased. The ones who survived the first impact lost to time. Lilith and offspring, what we know as humans, upstairs the rights to populate Earth. As the angels had the fruit of life, giving them unlimited energy, the humans held something more crude, the fruit of knowledge, the power of reasoning and logic, the ability to apply the scientific method, and understand the working of the universe itself in an attempt to harness its power. As these smaller beings lacked unlimited energy, they were forced to fight for their survival, to seize the power they were devoid of. And in this struggle, they became more dangerous and powerful than the angels could ever become. Humans, while their starting point was weaker, their species lacks a ceiling for growth. The longer they exist, the stronger they'll grow. But knowledge and evolution can be dangerous. They bring conflict of interest, abuse of power, fear of the unknown. War between factions of humans paints these lands in ruin. Industrial revolutions leave the planet reeling from our advancements. Progress comes with blood and wreckage. We cannot move forward without also regressing. From the ashes of the old rises something new principles, new ideas, new ways forward. For years, humanity destroys itself to become something different. Mankind continues to evolve into more diverse beings. While angels wore their differences on their sleeves, humanity's was found more in that which cannot be seen. Through cultures, beliefs, values, and communities, humanity itself seems more diverse than angels of the world. While from one human to the next, not much seemed to change in appearance. The internal differences cause discord between some and bonds with others. Humanity's continued advancements were headed by the idea of science, of the understanding of the world and the laws of our reality. Schools of thought were created to understand everything from why we were created to why feather and bowling balls fall at the same speed, with many the ideas of gravity. Humanity searched for answers and would sometimes find them. And as time went on, these ideas may transform or be completely replaced with better ones as the species became smarter. Their quest to discover the raison d'etre reached its peak through the discovery of the white moon still nestled within Antarctica. The vessel remained dormant, holding within the body and soul of Adam himself. With knowledge comes curiosity. We as humans crave to know that which is unknown. We see a box and immediately wonder what's within. We look at a machine and try to understand how it functions. We stare at the stars and ponder what lies beyond what we can see. Humanity has always been this way, for better or for worse. But this time, it's not as easy to see things in shades of gray. September 10th, 2000, the organization known as SEAL sends Dr. Katsuragi on an expedition to research the white moon recently discovered in Antarctica with the intent to learn more about its origins. Now SEAL itself, their origins are largely a mystery. The secret organization runs in the background of the world order with immense power and wealth. An ancient group who all too likely discovered the black moon that had landed in Hakone centuries ago. A revelation which sparked their inception. The organization originally began as a religious outlined humanity's creation as descendants of Lilith. In the inner workings of the moon, this led Zeal down a dangerous path towards human evolution, having read within the scroll about something that particularly scratched their fancy: instrumentality, the merging of all Lilith-based life, an existence without death, without pain, without fear. It was as if they discovered a form of Godship. The temptations of a man-made heaven became their life purpose. To bring about this world they sought, grave sin must be committed. Zeal must unite two forms of ancestral life, a being both angel and human, to create a godlike being, capable of ushering in heaven on earth by uniting all human life within a single existence. A being that rivals God in power, that is, that there is even one out there, watching as humanity creates hell on earth in pursuit of heaven. To research how to possibly bring such a being to fruition, Zeal sought after the scientific discovery outlined in the text of the ancient world. With simple deductions, they had hypothesized the existence of another moon on their planet, backed by seismic activity that had occurred in ancient times in Antarctica, which is when Katsuragi's research team enters into the picture. At the sight of the white moon, the doctor discovered a dormant atom of destruction. Katsuragi hypothesized that this entity could be awakened by pulling the spear from its vessel, believing it to be a failsafe that halted his actions. And following the removal, it would make contact with the beam. It was a risky play, the only way to advance their knowledge of the atom. Zeal knew the risk of what would become coined as the first contact experiment between Lilith life and atom, but they withheld this information from Katsuragi. His team's death was a vital stepping stone in their plan to unite atom and Lilith life. However, one researcher, Gendo Ikari, came to the conclusion on his own that the experiment would lead to destruction, rivaling the first impact. The man leaves the expedition only a day before the planned contact, which would leave the world in a state of desolation. He informed his former college professor, Kozu Fuyutsu, that he too may want to leave Antarctica within the next 48 hours. September 13, 2000, 2 days after the beginning of Katsuragi's expedition, his team and him performed the first contact experiment with Adam, setting off a cataclysmic event, damning their lives. Energy levels spiked to heights unheard of. This beam becomes a time bomb with a blast radius larger than anything man-made. The team tries to reattach the spear and nullify the potential for blast, but this only prevents Adam from becoming a larger bomb. They did what they could to mitigate the damage caused, shrinking the blast size to that of Antarctica, but there isn't any hope for their own salvation. Dr. Katsuragi does what he can to save his own daughter, Misato, from perishing, stowing her in the only escape pod available, sending her just outside the blast radius in time. The girl becomes the only human to survive what becomes known as the second impact, though the trauma of losing her father would leave her afraid of emotional attachment way into her adult life. The research team had sacrificed themselves to save the planet, though in the aftermath, the world was a different place. Adam had been reduced to an embryo in the explosion, his body once again dormant in this state, though his soul had taken on a new form. One containing the genes of Lilith, Kaoru Nagisa, was born from the explosion of excess energy, becoming a being both angel and Lilith. Zeal had obtained what they wanted. The explosion was labeled as an anti-AT field energy explosion, a type of energy angels are capable of creating that destroys the AT fields that humans possess, which allow them to maintain shape. Caught in one of these blasts, humans turn into their true form, the liquid, the same type that secretes from the glands of their ancestor Lilith. These fields are a rather complex plotline that spells out angels and humans as mortal enemies, each capable of complete destruction of the other. It's a shame these two moons landed on the same planet, damning them both to ages of conflict. With the destruction of the ice caps and the anti-AT field energy explosion, sea levels rose dramatically and the world faced a crisis. Tsunamis killed over 2 billion people in the southern hemisphere before any disaster relief could be dispatched. In the chaos, only 2 days after the second impact, on September 15th of the year 2000, war broke out worldwide. Refugees warred with countries, particularly bad in India and Pakistan, nearest to the countries now wiped off the map, completely submerged in the rising waters. The two rival powers became the first nations to have a nuclear exchange. Fallout ensued as more countries fell into global conflicts, warheads killing millions. Tokyo was one of the cities lost to these bombings, marking the third time Japan faced the horrors of nuclear fallout. 500,000 Japanese died on September 20th alone with the destruction of Tokyo. For 6 months, this fighting continued until February 14th, 2001, when the Valentine ceasefire ended this bloodshed. 4 billion lives, over half the population, were lost to this war. And with the collapse of most nation-states, the United Nations became a greater global power. Countries like the United States, Germany, Japan, and China continued to hold some individuality, but most of their military still fell under the control of the UN. In the shadows of this rising power, SEAL works within, pulling the strings of the organization. They continued to perpetuate their goal by founding the research division GATED, whose job on the surface was to prevent a third impact, but in actuality was a way of controlling the furthering of atom-based research to incite such an event like the third impact, that to them would usher in the new world of human instrumentality. Such a goal was only shared with the highest-ranking scientist, Gendo Ikari, and his wife Yui. Yui saw this future as a world where her son would not have to grow up experiencing the pain and suffering of everyday life. The nuclear war they had just experienced the past year was traumatizing enough for something like instrumentality to seem like a logical solution. Yui saw instrumentality as something humanity could use temporarily, uniting all humans in a collective consciousness, so that they could come to understand one another. What is practically forced empathy? All of people becoming one with you, leading you to understand all walks of life. She believed they could then end instrumentality and go back to regular day life, though with a newfound understanding of each other, and in some sense, achieving peace. But this would be ignoring the desires of SEAL, who want instrumentality to be the new normality of humanity. There's a strong conflict of interest here, but one that neither side will act on until the time comes. They both need each other to reach their dreams for the future. In this new era of peace, Japan would rebuild. Seeing the ruins of Tokyo as a lost cause, the settlement known as Tokyo 2 was created and completed by the year 2003. Oddly enough, following the creation of this second Tokyo, construction of Tokyo 3 almost immediately began in Hakone, atop the remnants of the Black Moon. However, this city was far more defense-oriented than the latter. It was said Tokyo 3 would become the country's next capital, though this honor never befell on the city. It instead became the future headquarters for SEAL's experiments, and fortress to defend their ancestors' mind. The Shadow Organization learned from the scrolls that contact between two ancestral species would spell the end of one, the rise to godhood of the other, the fear of the death of their species, and to prevent the humans from merging the two life forms. The angels would invade humanity's settlement in Tokyo 3 to retrieve the body of Lilith, or in some cases, the embryo of Adam that has fallen into SEAL's hands. Both were located beneath the future city. Humanity and angels became locked in a race war to prevent their own destruction, and their preparation window is all too small. By 2015, the surviving angels from the first impact would be awakened, following the actions of Katsuragi's team in Antarctica. With a little over a decade before the promised day, the race to achieve instrumentality begins. In Shinji's attempts to cope with the loss of his parents, he turns to the maternal flavor of gamer subs tea. Yes, that's a real flavor. This is a real integration. Sock Sensei has partnered with gamer subs. I've been drinking various caffeinated products. The products yourself after this video. Let's eat back on you. To safeguard both the embryo of Adam they had seized, along with Lilith's body, still nestled in the remains of the Black Moon, SEAL ordered Gaiden to slowly move into what is known as the Geo Front, a massive underground fortress constructed in the crater of the first impact just below Tokyo 3. Gaiden's move, though, was postponed as they continued their experiments in the various research facilities across the world. In 2004, the first of two revolutionary advancements in Japan took place. Project E, the development of Evangelion mechas created from the genetics of Adam, began. These atom-based beings would be used to fight against his descendants. And just as was done in Antarctica with this pure form, a contact experiment between this new atom-like body and a human was scheduled. The experiment was to be headed by Gendo Ikari, his wife, Yui. They knew the risk going into this scenario, yet regardless, Yui pressed that she would be the one to do it. This was a necessary risk to pursue a world without pain, without suffering for her child. As she entered the chamber with the mecha, Yui would never walk back out the door. The woman would disappear, leaving her husband unable to process this loss, and her son Shinji, both motherless and fatherless. Grief sent Gendo on a downward spiral. Just looking at his son was too much of a reminder of what he lost. He couldn't process it, and so he took out his frustrations on Shinji, eventually abandoning the boy entirely, being engrossed in his research. Gendo would spend the remaining time before the angels attacked, attempting to reclaim what he lost. Using genetic samples of his wife, the man would try to recreate her, resulting in the creation of clones who would come to call Red. These clones, however, could not serve as a stand-in for his wife. They lacked souls, capable of most emotion. Man could not create man. Gendo continues to try and play God, and each time he loses more of what made him begin with. He had failed to recapture the life of his wife. And part of the problem is a result of an anomaly. Yui's soul was trapped within the project. Unbeknownst to him, Unit 01 had been an empty vessel lacking a soul, and it had claimed the first one to touch it. In Germany, at another DNA facility, a secondary Evangelion unit was undergoing a similar contact experiment. But unlike with Unit 01, when the researcher touched Unit 02, only their soul was infused with purity. Unlike in the case of Eureka, who had both her body and soul taken, Kyoko Soi only lost that which made her whole. Without a soul, her mind was a pile of mush. And after months of suffering in a psych ward, she would take her own life alongside her daughter, Asuka. Only her mind had played tricks on her. She had believed the doll, the same orangish hair as her child, was her little girl. Asuka at the time was no older than 4 years old, and would be the one to discover her hanging from the rafters. The doll that looked all too like her, hanging beside her. Her mother's feet dangled at eye level. Asuka was left traumatized for life, and would blame herself for her mother's death. The contact experiments were considered failures at first. There were those that made the connection between these two mothers' deaths. It was hypothesized that a pilot could be used in the mecha, as they held similar genes to the human whose soul was infused. Shinji and Asuka were chosen as pilot candidates based on their mother-child relationship. Seal would construct a shell institution named Marduk to hide this truth from the rest of the world, acting as if there was some other special qualifications to the pilot candidates. This institution simply allowed them to hold all the power and even young technology, along with safeguarding potential candidates based on the fact their mothers must be considered dead to infuse with the units of Project E. Each child chosen for these roles are numbered. Rei is considered the first and acts as their test subject. Asuka was deemed the second. Finally, Shinji is named the third child. Due to the straining relationship with his father, Gendo held off on recruiting his son to the program, and for now, the boy is left alone mourning the loss of his mother. In 2010, Gaiden's production of a revolutionary supercomputer, equipped with 3 separate think tank-like brains, the Mac, had finally finished production, giving the research group the most advanced computer network of all time. Mackey's completion would mark the merge of Gaiden with the Special Operations Unit NERV, as preparations for the impending Angel assaults continued. This merge went uncontested due to the untimely death of Mackey's creator, Naoko Akagi, a woman who had taken part in romance with the widowed Gendo. Her death was ruled suicide and had been preceded by the death of the first clone of Rei. The little girl had sparked some sort of jealousy in the scientist after Rei told her she never replaced Yui in Gendo's heart. She killed the child and then threw herself off a balcony onto her creation below. This marked the first drops of blood of many. Nerve would spill onto these floors. Over the next 5 years, as Gaiden merged with Nerve, the organization would relocate to the newly constructed geofront between Tokyo and Riga, both as a defensive play and as a way to cover up their continuing project experimentation. The daughter of Dr. Katsuragi would graduate from college and join the ranks of Nerve to become their operations director. Her old boyfriend, Yoji Kaji, who she broke up with and ran away from in fear of emotional attachment, decides to join Nerve as well and transfers to the German-based facility, becoming a ward to Asuka. He would serve as an agent to truth, not loyal to Nerve nor the Japanese ministry, who tasks him with finding the truth behind Nerve's experimentations. He does not work for his guild or Gendo, but only in pursuit of understanding what the bigger picture is, on both sides of the coin. Mitsuko Akagi, daughter of the deceased creator of Mag, of similar age to Misato and Kaji, joins Nerve as its chief researcher in Project E. She, like her mother, begins to have relations with Gendo that heavily damage her mental. What trauma she experienced that led her down this path is uncertain. It could be that her obsession with work has halted her from finding any romance, and Gendo's constant presence in her life, as they both never leave headquarters, made him subconsciously her only possible options for romance. Gendo sees this woman as a pawn, allowing him to progress towards the future his wife wanted, but for Lisa, this man is an outlet for her sexual frustrations and lack of any kind of love in her life. It's an unhealthy relationship, but it's all she has. She continues to help the man develop function, yelling. In the rush to finish the mecha before the Angel assault slated for 2015, research and development was a brutal task. It wasn't until 2014 the pilot plugs for the mecha would be finished and ready for trial. Nerve hastily created a prototype unit given the title 00, which would use the soul of the Ray clone to put Mother killed as a human-infused unit. Another Ray, Ray 2, will be chosen as its pilot, having shared genetics with the dead clone. This hypothesis of Ray 1 being the vessel used in 00 is backed by the sheer agony that Eva initially wakes to in the first trial run of the pilot plug. As if being woken to the strangulation that led to her death, gasping for breath. With the pilot's failure to control the unit's movements, a scenario that would be given the title Berserk. Trial is considered a failure, and Ray is hospitalized with major injuries. Nerve undergoes panic, aware of the enclosing attack of the first Angel only months away, and they still lack a proper fighting mechanism pilot. Gendo is forced to contact his son, who he has not seen in years, to come into free. He had left the boy to live with his school teacher after their falling out reached its breaking point. Unable to process grief, he chose to turn a blind eye to his inner demons, and that bled over to how he treated his son. To seeing the boy was painful enough. How could he be expected to live with him? He chose the path of a terrible father in an attempt to shield his heart, continue his quest, reunite with his life. Human instrumentality offered him that hope. Shinji is called upon to travel to Tokyo through Misato Katsuragi, sent to bring him to Nerve to be admitted as a pilot. The beginning of Shinji's story of agony and torment truly begins as Takeda's masked the approach of Sasile, the first of many to attack this city. The world of Evangelion, devoid of an almighty being, prevent humans from tampering with forces beyond their comprehension. It's about to experience an apocalyptic event that puts shame on the second impact. There is no salvation awaiting the just, no divine punishment for the damned. They'll bring that hell into reality themselves. Nerve says it herself, God's in his heaven, all's right with the world. Humanity has no place for a God in the pursuit to become one themselves. Evangelion. Fourth film Evangelion franchise, more commonly known as the Rebuild series, at first glance may just seem like a remake of the original, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. This four-part movie saga willed into existence by Anno himself was very much his closing remarks to his tragic franchise and a curtain call to fans of the series, a series that expanded past the expectations of an anime, becoming somewhat of a cultural keystone of his fandom. Picking up where I left off and making sense of Evangelion, I'll pick apart and analyze Evangelion 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 3.0 plus 1.0, making clear how all of these follow up Neon Genesis and Amiibo on a rather linear timeline. I've sectioned this video by each movie where I'll guide you through and make sense of what exactly is the catalyst for these drastic shifts in narrative, and how the movie saga transformed the story of this company present. Shinji's story has always been missed right from the very beginning. This time, he may have finally got it right. Evangelion, You Were Not Alone is the first and most similar entry to the original Neon Genesis story, which means this will be the shortest section of the video. With that said, there are some very important differences that play into the entire reason that the story drastically shifts. The most vital change is found in choices made, which for a show with heavy central focus on character relationships, make for a heavy impact. Shinji is noticeably more driven to help those around him, and way less sulky and self-centered. Here he decides to pilot 01 for the first time just for the sake of saving Ray, and needs no more convincing from the mech itself, saving his life like in the original. And then there's Misato, who is more hands-on when it comes to the pair's relationship. The core separation and key between Shinji and her was the lack of communication, where Shinji needed a parental figure to help guide him. Misato lacks the ability to sufficiently fill that role, and here she does a much better job at it. Tuning him out for disobeying her orders during the fight with Shang-Shell, showing worry and frustration when he up and leaves without telling, and all around helping to grasp the cause and effect he has on others. These two have a much more put-together relationship because, as individuals, they are in a much better headspace. love has driven him on a multi-life journey as he attempts to give Shinji the happy ending he deserves, being born with the memories of his past lives, in hopes of one day being able to break the cycle of crimes his friend has found himself in. The final scene of 1.0 teases that this time things are different. Near the still moon base that is manufacturing Eva Marcus, a new Evangelion that is supposedly created of a vessel of one of the atoms, a plot point that lives largely in mystery. Seems certain the second impact this time around, there were 5 atoms. This marks 6 being the first atom of Evangelion, which uses one of the bodies, while the souls get a very different use, which we'll get into more later. But for now, just know that there's something else at work here, and we aren't directly told. Kaoru sits up from a line of coffins. Once more, he awakens to a new world. Once more, he attempts to guide Shinji to the life he deserves. An angel deemed the third has escaped captivity from underneath the Euro-Russian base in Tartu. Madi, a new Evangelion pilot, launches the EVA Provisional Unit 05, successfully defeating the Angels of Destruction unit to finish off. Kaji comments on her ability as a pilot before she's presumably taken to infiltrate into Japan. Another confusion around Madi and why it was decided to add a major EVA pilot to the series can be explained in several ways. For one, Honors wanted to add a new character, and that's pretty much it. Another more narrative-driven reason is that Mari's inclusion heavily shakes up character relationships, pushing them into positive directions, which is exactly what a lot of them need to reach it. Gendo and Shinji visit Yui's grave, which is just an empty plot of land. Yui's soul lives once again inside Unit 01. With the approach of the 7th, Asuka makes her arrival. She single-handedly defeats and kills the angel before meeting Shinji for the first time. Oddly though, there seems to be something that is different. While she may still be the tsundere we all remember, her personality is slightly altered and more obvious. Her last name has completely changed. As it turns out, this Asuka is the sole surviving clone of Shinji down the line, who created the Pilot 02 in a similar manner to Ray's creation. This Asuka never had parents, never had the trauma that came with her mom's great state, her dad's neglect. This time, she faces loneliness in a much more intimate way, and because of this change, she becomes a whole new character. This Asuka is a bit more direct and more open to Shinji, finding the time with of her own volition and not by sheer accident. She is more expressive of her emotions, and this personality change, along with Shinji's, helps move the relationship in a direction away from the iconic end of Evangelion that was built upon their forced communication and immaturity. These two, along with most of the characters in the series, act more grown up and a little less self-focused, a point we should look at. Instead of delivering the embryo of Adam, Kaji gives Gendo with the key of the bizarre item's name that I most likely completely butchered, but will allow Gendo to attain a type of godhood when the time comes for his human talent. As for now, the object remains kind of you. The group joins Kaji aboard an aquatic preservation center that hopes to bring back life to the sea that is tainted in red, much like the oceans of Indonesia. While exploring this vessel, Sahakwel and the 8 attempt to attack the pilots are forced to band together and launch a team effort attack to defeat the group's surpassing their individual limits to prevent destruction from being brought upon the city. In the aftermath, Eva 01 and 00 are heavily damaged. Steel makes note that 00 has served its purpose. Only 01 should be repaired. What 00's purpose was is not explored any deeper, and my assumption was to assist the angels prior to the arrival of Madi arrives in Tokyo, leaving Shinji for the first time in a rush, using entry into the main story that ends with her running off, not to be seen again for 5 minutes. During this, Yuichi and Gendo gaze at the wall of Eva Mark 6, as production is incomplete of a new gun. Kaoru sits upon the stairs, pondering what's to come. Ray has taken it upon herself to try to mend the relationship between Gendo and Shinji. She cares for the whole thing, unlike her Indian counterpart. She gets more emotionally involved with others and desires to bring about change in her life. She gets Gendo to agree to a dinner party with her and the rest of the pilots, but a wrench is thrown into the system and Eva 4 is delivered to Japan that nearly same day. The activation has been as planned. In Rebuild, Koji never becomes a pilot. Asuka takes it upon herself to activate the Eva on behalf of Rei so that she can prepare for the dinner party. A very selfless act we would normally not expect to do sooner, but it seems that karma is not on her side. The party unfolds Asuka, drawing her near its absence, the 10th angel makes it to the stall of Earth. 01 refusing to accept the numbing plug. There's only hope for survival. The hijacked Zero 2, piloted by Mike. She attempts to defeat the angel using a power much like the Berserk code of NG, this time the Beast Drum, which similarly activates when Eva's surpassed the limit. But this power proves not to be enough to break this down. Ray launches in a suicide charge at her defective Eva, an N2 mine in hand, but the intent will kill the angel. But her bravery is in vain as the beam emerges unscathed, consuming Eva 00 along with Ray. Seeing this chaos, Shinji breaks his vow and once more pilots 01. He forces the angel out of Nerve HQ and loses power during the confrontation on the surface. As Eva enters a berserk state, fusing with Shinji, but this time he surpasses what we would initially expect in this point of the story. He makes a mental connection with the angel as he tries to rescue Ray from inside. As he does this, though, the body of Adam along with the soul of Lilith and a Lilith all combine with the angel's core, creating a pseudo-godlike being, the final one. 01 flails into the skies, the world around it shifts into horrific shades of red and purple. The third impact begins. It seems this is what Gendo wanted all along, a stepping stone in a plan that we have lost all knowledge of. The story has drifted too drastically from its original tracks. What comes next is not something we can predict from past events. We have reached the end. It's something we can get. 01 is struck down by cold, piloting the now finished Eva Mark 6 civilian spear of Cassie. He makes a comment that this time he will show Shinji real happiness. To stop the near third impact, a human must be sacrificed. Kachi decides to be the one to burden this task, much to his son's grievance. She attempts to join him, but he tells her she can't. She has an obligation to their unborn child to see him to this new world. She knows this too. His heroism prevents the total destruction of Earth, but the landscape has completely changed. The event is given the name Near Third Impact. Asuka and Madi launch an operation to retrieve Eva 01 from orbit. It's the Near Impact TIE-SEAL organization that has imprisoned Shinji. I don't see him fight. On his neck is an explosive device that will activate if he triggers another Evangelion awakening, like during the Near Third Impact. On top of that, Misato has the kill switch to use at her own volition to defeat the team. The salvage 01 has been repurposed to power the ship that Lily uses, and Shinji will never be allowed to fight again. The carrier is nicknamed Wonder and has strength equal to Eva's, given the device that powers it. Shinji is confronted by Asuka while being interrogated. She meets him with a cold, angry demeanor that more closely resembles the Asuka of Neon Genesis, yet more put together and less volatile at the same time. Miraculously, she survived being crushed 14 years prior, and since then has not aged, stuck in the body of her 14-year self, a curse that she and Mari suffered from, supposedly caused by prolonged exposure to LCL. And since the pilots all sit in this stuff for extended periods of time, they've all developed this curse, further explaining why Shinji's body didn't age while he was in a pseudo-coma. As Asuka antagonizes Shinji, he becomes even more confused and stressed. Not only is he constantly blamed, but he's refused answers to his questions. He's unsure if these people around him are really his friends from long ago, hearing nothing but physical features in his memory. He ends up dissociating, refusing to accept that this is what the world has become, his sole desire being to find Ray. Almost as if answering his calls, Ray infiltrates the ship, piloting Eva Mark 9. Given his situation aboard the Wonder, Shinji finds it difficult to think of any reason to stay. He decides to leave with Ray. Misato is unable to bring herself to flip the trigger on Shinji's bomb collar as he escapes into the house. When arriving at Nerd HQ, Shinji finds it in ruins. Despite this, it's fully operational. His father welcoming him, explaining that he and a boy named Golden are a pilot team of 13 together to retrieve the spears of Cassius and launch it. He hasn't put much thought into the motives behind this action, and simply agrees to do it, not even curious about what he was doing. After being dismissed, he finds that Ray has no memories of their past and acts simply on the orders of Gendo. He desperately attempts to find some of the old Ray in her, but is left disappointed and further depressed. His final hope for a piece of reality he knew prior to his coma has proved futile. This is not Ray. As he fiddles with his broken Walkman, Olu approaches, asking if he'll play it again. Over the course of time, the two form a bond. During this time, Shinji also attempts to bring back some of the Ray films, unable to give up the hope he holds on to, delivering her favorite books to the Shanshu States. Eventually, after the two have built a closer connection, Olu shows Shinji the true scope of his actions destruction before them coats much of Earth, making a barren red desert near incapable of living life. Near Earth impacts, Hilo started a confusing and ambiguous process that attempted to bring out Evas from the Earth before like crystal covering the entirety of Earth. And crude-like variations of Evas roaming about, doing everything in their power to prevent this destruction from the Earth. Shinji is left in awe and becomes deeply disturbed by the consequences of what was just a selfish action. Seeing Shinji's attempts to connect with this new ray, he feels the need to explain the strategic rate that being she's born of his mother, one of many, that his mother lives on within Eva's one. This information causes Shinji to spiral, resulting in a panic. He feels himself collapsing as everything he thought he knew becomes doubting, afraid of the truth hiding behind each corner of his existence. Kaoru intervenes, calming his friend, taking the collar around his throat and donning it on himself, a symbol of him removing the burden of sin from Shinji onto himself. Since they must proudly go together to retrieve the spears, as long as one of them has the bomb collar on, in the worst case, an impact can still be avoided. Kaoru explains the spears will allow them to revert the damage he's done, allowing for a return to the world that Shinji desperately clutches onto, calling his panic. The two enter the double-plug Eva and descend into terminal dogma, where Lilith lies, a large and crude form that remains unexplained. We receive minimal information of the horrors that must have taken place over the past 14 years, and all we can assume is that the state of things is just one of many failed attempts by Gendo to achieve his goal. Mistakenly, Oro believes that Gendo will allow us to return the world to its original state, blinded by his desire to see the best in others. Gray follows us back up in Mark 9, as Gendo knows Lily will make a move on them during the operation. And just as predicted, Asuka and Bonnie launch an ambush. They're surprised to see Shinji behind the controls again. Asuka angrily asks if he plans to start another attack, which he asserts he can save the world, that he neglected wrong. She claims he's a fool to think that he can fix anything, but he's blinded by his hope for a solution, a way to bring an end to the resentment casting call. Asuka and Marty are unable to stop the manic Shinji as Eva 13 approaches them to gain Lilith. As they move closer, it appears that Eva Mark 6 has connected with Lilith. The spears present are both of Longinus. The Castius sphere has somehow been replaced. Koda realizes he's been tricked by Gendo, and he insists that they stop, but this enrages Shinji, believing that he too, like Asuka and Sato, is betraying him. These heightened emotions suddenly awaken Eva 13 as it surrounds two additional arms. Koda's controls are deactivated as Shinji moves the set of spears for the soul of Lilith. Shinji is begged not to go through with this, but in his mania, he can't hear them. Too focused on his immediate desire to achieve everything back. The spears are removed. Even Galleon Mark 6 is removed from imprisonment, rage cuts off its head, placed in the 12th angel, an entity with very little background except that killing him would only bring death and destruction, a reason that it may have been sealed in terminal dogma. The Eva 13 absorbs the angel, fully awakening, dawning to halos suspended in the sky. The doors of Guff open, allowing unborn souls to pass into this realm as the true third impact begins. Gendo shuts down the steel monoliths, thanking them for their service to human civilization over the years. It seems that steel were not necessarily humans, like an NG. There were life forms that altered their existence to live on indefinitely, help guide humans to the events transpiring today. And now that their service is complete, it's time to join what lies at the end of life and the beginning of death. Kaoru explains to Shinji that he was the first angel Adam, since he is not his original pure form, he is the acting 13th angel, one that comes after the assumed collapse. He tells Shinji that he will do what he can to prevent the impact from happening, choke or activate around his neck. Since Eva 13 needs an angel and human pilots, there is a way to prevent the events. Shinji realizes what this means, but his cries cannot stand the bomb. Ray loses control of Mark 9 as Asuka attempts to destroy it before it can get to the core of the Wonder Ship where Zero will lie. Not much is known of the Mark series besides that they house Adam's vessels. These strange souls seem to desire a future that is somewhat in line with the goals of their assistant Gendo and Endeavor. And then there's the mysterious Unit 15, and Eva created a body of these vessels, but that which is very unique compared to the other four is equal to that of Zero 1. Unit 13 can be seen in the Dead Sea Scrolls, bringing upon something like the Apocalypse, surrounded by the Mark series that acts as the horsemen of the Apocalypse. And then there's Mark 6, a unit also created from a body of these vessels that at some point became occupied by the strange colony. It's worth noting that these atoms described are very different people. They're not the atom, if that makes any sense at all to you. If it didn't, that's completely okay. This is the most unexplained cryptic plot point of the entire read of the series. And no matter how much I try to make Removing the limiters of 0-2, Asuka enters beast mode, allowing her to fight a Walmart 9. Ray is forced to make a decision for herself on what it is she should do. She decides to eject her plug, allowing Asuka an opening to self-destruct 2 with 191 before ejecting the suit. Inside EVA 13, Shinji has become mentally withdrawn, reaching a degree of inaction similar to his Genesis cell. Body grabs a hold of the EVA and force launches his entry plug before Nerve can fully draw his energy. Unit 13 drops to the ground and the light is us. The third impact has, once again, been somewhat avoided. Despite being saved, Shinji remains unresponsive to the world around him. Aimlessly going through the motions, Asuka forces him. While initially thinking of leaving them, she can't bring herself to go through with it, so she annexes his shoulder to lean on. Ray joins them as they wander through the barren landscape in search of rescue. With the absence of Asuka, Body is taken to Paris by Ritsuko and her squad to perform an activation protocol that wipes large chunks of land clean of the crystal core-like substance and shields them from the angels and the alien-like creatures that have been roaming the earth since the Third Kingdom. These creatures have little background information, but are most likely amalgamations of angel souls that slipped through the doors of Yup during the 2 Third impacts, molding the alien pieces over time, creating subpar vessels. These creatures act against the Lilith's attempts to make her life world, which is precisely why Body was brought along, to fend off their offensive until the activation sequence is complete. This machine creates a safe area where life can prosper once more, not much different from the village the pilot trio now find themselves in. After days of wandering, Shinji collapses, having refused food and drink for days, unable to move his body any further. Asuka has grown tired of his self-loathing and, lucky for them, Kensuke, Shinji's friend from Tokyo 3, finds them and takes them back to the main settlement that holds most of the survivors. There, Shinji awakens not much later than one of the coaches, now a doctor with a child who shares with his wife Megan, class leader from their school days. He, along with Kensuke, try to get Shinji to open up and interact with the world once more. While this is an endearing effort, Shinji is haunted by his actions that led to the death of the only person that truly understood. It seems that, as of right now, nothing will awaken him from the abyss except the dormant Kensuke takes Shinji with him and Asuka to this day, while Rei, who is showing great interest in the village life, stays with Koji's family. Here she finds an existence that is of her own, not one to fulfill Gendo's selfish goals or Shinji's image. Day in and day out she works, making friends with the villagers, learning new parts of life from them, especially Megan. At Kensuke, Shinji continues the same pattern of behavior. He slumps in the corner, refusing to interact with the fire. When confronted by Asuka when he first arrives, he sees she's been equipped with a bomb shelter as well. Decided it brings back the haunting last minutes he had before Asuka took off. It seems that both she and Hobby have been deemed dangerous persons, just as Shinji was earlier in his college. Along with no longer age, Asuka suffers another ailment as well. When absorbed in the Bardael, she lost form, contorting with the angel into something like a pixie. When it was defeated, she was originally presumed dead, but through sheer will, she absorbed the angel and returned to shape, but it came at a cost. She was no longer human. She had no need for food, water, or sleep, also gaining unique angel-like abilities. This semi-human, semi-angel existence, along with the hostile treatment she's met with because of it, has made her turn cold and withdrawn towards humanity, something she projects onto Shinji. Kensuke tells her she should cut him some slack, because he's probably been through a very traumatic experience, which makes her pull back. The relationship between these two is somewhat of a guardian and reward. At first, we see Kensuke as filling a role that balances Asuka's dismissive behavior towards others, prompting her to see a different perspective. This relationship, however, never really crosses over me. It only takes a few days for Asuka to explode towards Shinji, angered at his disregard for the things he still has, forced some food down his throat, said that he takes for granted the ability to see. This aggressive maneuver causes Shinji to storm off. When he confronts an abandoned tower, she now uses it as a place of solitude. Rei eventually wanders to Kensuke's home, asking Asuka where she can find Shinji. She tells her, but not before advising her to clone. They are both created limiters, so they could never surpass the creators, resulting in them lacking inherent emotion. Rei's series was always created to like Shinji. That's just how they made it. However, Rei has no issue with this and continues to show him affection, because that's what she wants to do. She begins visiting him every day at the tower, bringing him food to eat, which for the most part he ignores. Every once in a while, caving to his hunger, devouring rations, sobbing afterwards at his inability to stay committed to his wish to starve, die. nothing he cares about anymore. He's destroyed everything. He's better off being alone, where he can't hurt anyone and no one can hurt him. A state similar to the self he was in the end of Eva. He questions her on why it is she's so nice to him. Her response being that we, as in all raised, love you. These words nudge Shinji to once more take action. He begins to assist Kensuke on his various jobs, and fishes for the village and the abandoned tower when he's off. One day, Kensuke takes Shinji to meet Kaji, but it's not the one Dr. familiar with. His son, named after him in honor of his sacrifice. He knows nothing of his parents, a wish that Misato had, as she felt she could offer nothing for him as a mother, so she stayed out of his life. The realization of what Misato has been through puts her actions into perspective for Shinji. He begins to understand what she is fighting for, both in the present and his legacy. Kaji died so that his child could live, and Misato chose a life for him she personally thought was better than what she could offer as a mother. As Bui's commander, she shields him from the harshness of the world, protecting him. In some ways, she's more of a parent through this sacrifice than if she stayed and raised him. Kensuke believes that Misato regrets the fact that Shinji became the scapegoat for everything that came after the third incident, a concept supported by her inability to blow his bomb children when he left the Wonder, despite the danger she relayed while free, meaning he holds equal weight to the person she is chosen to protect. Just like her son, she loves Shinji more than anything. As Shinji is fishing one morning, Rei visits him. She hands him the Walkman he let her borrow and asks him if she found a name for her, as she isn't the Rei Ayanami he talks about. He tells her that, to him, she's still Rei, despite the differences the two months have. The fact he gave consideration to it was enough to make her happy. He tells Shinji she can't stay here, saying that we were all eerily thinking of after she collapsed. She tells him she liked the village, people there, the life they had together. She wanted to stay with the boy she liked forever. That is impossible. There's a reason we see Rei constantly dating LCL forms. She needs to in order to survive. And this Rei has reached this limit. We won't ever know if this was the end of his cruel programming so that Shinji would experience the same loss his father suffered, or just some twisted fate. The question is to keep most to himself with the mere ships. Regardless, the Rei we became attached to is gone once more. The Wonder ship returns to the Tokyo settlement to deliver supplies and retrieve Asuka for the final assault, but it seems Shinji has decided he needs to go with, despite Kensuke and Toji imploring him to settle here, that he doesn't need to protect them anymore. He can't leave things how they are. His father is out there. He's the one who should stop him. You can see in his flesh cheeks that Rei's death has left him creature, but it seems that he has matured, grown out of his pattern of inaction, and that doing nothing will not bring upon change. There's something only he can do, and he has to see to it. Gendo has retrieved Evangelion 13. The mission is reactivated at the epicenter of the second impact in Antarctica using the Black Moon, which has been turned into something like a spacecraft. Misato has gotten heat of this, and Willie launches the final operation to neutralize the 13 to bring a final end to the term. As the ship makes its way to the southernmost continent, the characters reflect Misato, who has played the stoic leader for far too long, hates by Ritsuko for doing so. She points out that holding these feelings in will only cause trouble, knowing full well she's happy that Shinji has returned, but has decided to not see him again. The same way she distances herself from her son, thinking that it's best for them because she has no role in their lives. Asuka, on the other hand, confronts Shinji, communicating what's been brewing between them all this time. Shinji makes the realization that Asuka was angry at their first meeting because of his inaction when she was trapped in Bargiel 2 years ago. He didn't help her or kill her, afraid of taking responsibility in any given situation. Satisfied by his ability to recognize his greatest weakness, she finally expresses to Shinji that she had a crush on him all those years ago. But now, she's gone and grown up before into those same feelings beneath the dilemma. Having expressed the feelings she's kept to herself all this time, Asuka leaves, content with how she's left things. Shinji has a vision of Kouru, who affirms that they will meet again, giving Shinji comfort and closure as he moves forward. Nerve launches an assault on Wonder, coordinated by Freeze. As the ships enter naval warfare, the two Evangelions piloted by Mari and Asuka ward off the swarms of Eva Mark 7s, equivalent to the mass-produced series at the end of Eva. As they near Eva 13, Mari covers Asuka as she presses forward to neutralize the unit. She stops when her Eva instinctively activates the AT field, a fear response to what lies inside her. She chooses to ignore this and unseals the power of the Ninth Angel that lies within her, shattering her own Eva's AT field, the one resonating from within her, allowing her to attack Unit 13, but stripping her of the new energy and playing right into Gendo's plan. He tanks and removes Asuka's plug from the galleon, inserting it into his own unit, which needs a little unenabled pilot to operate at full potential. Inside her plug, Asuka is confronted by her original, the DNA donor of the Shinigami series, who prevents her bomb choker from killing her, allowing Unit 13 to fully reawaken. A remodeled Eagle Mark 9 seizes control of the Wonder, no longer the three nerve ships, projecting the light caused by the Mark series, now present aboard each ship after Mark 9 retook Wonder control. This ritual uses the Black Moon to create two new spheres to be used to activate instrumentality. Gendo moves into the Wonder core, where he plans to seize Eva 01, which is the last necessary element to the instrumentality activation. He's confronted by Hisato and Ritsuko, who shoots a bullet straight through his skull before giving him a chance to talk. Surprisingly, this has no effect, as it's revealed that Gendo used the Nebulizar key on himself, abandoning his humanity and gaining a form outside the logos of our realm, the logic that our world buys. He reveals that the second impact was done to purify the oceans, the third to purify the land, and the fourth will purify the souls of humanity. He rationalizes his efforts by reasoning that the only path forward for humanity would be exterminated by the angels or rob the angels of their seeds of holy God, raising humanity to a new existence. With this, he takes the Eva, entering a realm where time and space is dissolved, with humanity on the brink of extinction yet again. Shinji approaches Misato and Ritsuko, asking if they'll allow him to pilot 01 and prevent his father from rewriting the world. Misato agrees, but the rest of the Lily crew is less than on board. Tochi's sister, who's the first to show compassion to Shinji, has taken a turn, pulling a gun on him in attempts to stop him from piloting, afraid of the damage he could cause, still scarred by the events of 15 years ago, where the old Shinji would have caved at the distrust and viewpoint.
Every as long as I've been reading. No wonder what brings us one up.
Mobile Channel, how are you? It's a pleasure to be back. Chad's saying that I look like a substitute teacher today. What do y'all think? What do we think? Are we getting substitute teacher vibes? Are we getting welcome back? Sophomore class of East High? Are we getting those vibes today? I don't know, they've been making fun of me. Do you think SpongeBob has square balls? No, I don't think SpongeBob has balls. He's been naked. He's a sponge. We're playing more Skyrim today. We're going to wrap up the awful, terrible, no good Skyrim saves that my friends have sent me. I got 2 left. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. What's that? And Mary's son, thank you for 2 months. Appreciate it. Candy Blue, thank you for 9 months. Thank you for the red ball emoji. I've seen y'all in the comment section of that song, and it is hilarious because there's enough people who have looked it up, and they're like, what the hell is a juke? And it's just so beautiful to witness. We are on to save file number 6. Oh no, I'm little. I'm in the wrong spot. Oh god. Sorry, this is a leftover relic from the RuneScape event that I got to compete in, which if anybody saw that, I think I played a good ball in the final round of Dead Man Factions as a non-competitive, unskilled player. Anyway, we're on to save file number 6. This is Old Man, submitted by our friend Just Meeks, who we've done a stream with a little bit ago. We've been in Dunderheads against each other a few times. We've done a lot of competing. I think I've competed in Skyrim events and just general Skyrim stuff against Meeks nothing but shield running, shield bashing, and unrelenting force. Means I think you have underestimated me with this save because I got a lot of practice in this when we did the inheritance only run. I got very good at pushing NPCs into killable positions. That's all it is. It's very simple. We're an old guy. We got a shield bash. I think we also with this save we have 100 block. I think we have level 100 block. But it's simple. We gotta take these old men and we have to push them off the mountain. I don't know how many old men there are. I don't know how many targets we have. Chow Chu just watched you on Bob Channel all day today, and now I'm finishing the night with your live stream. That's a hell of a day. You're putting up numbers, MVP level stuff, stuffing the stat sheet. Giannis onto consume Poe. Is that something? I think that's something. I think I'm onto something there. I think it's somewhere in. I gotta show all saves. I think somewhere in here. I brought the alerts back. You were muted there for a second. Ben Kirkwood, thank you for 4 months. Ryan Mayer, thank you for 3 months. Sleeping Grace, thank you for 3 months. Appreciate y'all. It's more Todd slop. We're back. You know, we put the slop into the Todd. We're filling the slop with our own slop. Fair. No. I definitely had the save in my game. Ready to get that one. Might have to go get the save though. There's the B1. There's Doug's really stupid save we did. Maybe I gotta go even further back. No. Okay, I think I have to get this save installed again.
Getting closer to that 9-month mark. I know it's adopting a dog now. No street lady, but can we adopt a kitty instead?
I'll allow it. We can adopt a kitty instead. I'll allow that. Alright, let me go find the stat save real quick. I've got them stored on Discord. We should have that video that we recorded with Meeks. Should have that posted sometime soon, by the way. I can't find our DMs right now. Wait, what? I think Beans might have accidentally deleted me on Discord. Hold on, I can't find our messages. Heard about this guy through Red Ball? That's incredible news. Found him, found it. I found our messages. He did not delete me on Discord. I'm not smart. King Coop, thank you for 14 months. Alright, I got the save file located.
Going, bro.
Official start, special edition patch. Skip the opening video. Yes,
I don't blow out candles.
Search your unidentified.
I wave goodbye.
Yes. I don't think we need those.
Schedule one? Yeah.
All right, old man. Oh God, they're hostile though. Beaks, what the hell is that? That's not cool. It's also not cool that it sends me back to the main menu. So I need to save the second I get into the game so I can have a reasonable checkpoint.
The global red ball market is showing signs. The charts are glowing. The prophecies are aligning. I just sold my emotional stability with the goodness of high-grade red ball features of dipole ping. Milo, roll high, diversify your ball.
That's gotta be a copy pasta. That's got
100%. My sleep schedule is down 90%, and the only safe currency left is spherical.
By the way, dude,
that's gotta be a copy
could
pasta.
you clean out the microwave if it gets dirty?
Yeah, I got it.
I already wiped it out this morning. I just wanted to.
I believe I have to keep the chef's
Yeah,
uniform.
my bad, bro.
He said it- I think he said
I
it.
won't be such a fucking,
As
like,
much as I want.
slob.
Generally, I don't care, but I've had a pretty fucking clean microwave for the whole time that I've had it, and I want to keep it clean.
Sounds good, man.
Three perks, level 17, block 100, so we have the entire block's entry unlocked. Power bash, deadly bash, chance to disarm, sprinting with a shield raised, knocks down most targets. Okay.
Roll on PC if you want to find the standard red ball emoji in Windows plus periods. Opens the emoji window and chat.
It's honestly really good. That's really good info. What's the most red ball item in Skyrim? Red apples have a lot of green on them. A ruby? A ruby is not quite a ball. Meridian's beacon if it was red. Oh, that works. Now we need to go, we gotta get my health back. Alright, perfect. Resist fire. We need to knock over this guy in the back that's throwing a ton of fire at us. I didn't realize I'd have to lock in so early on this save. Alright, substitute teacher mode. Activating. Or maybe we go for this old guy because we got him close. Ah! Oh shit, get up! Get up, old man! This ain't gonna kill me, is it? How long am I frozen? Get up! Get up, you can do it! This is where you get like the low opacity versions of himself from the past yelling at him. Come on, you gotta believe, you can do it. I don't have the strength. Brother, what is this shout I got hit with? Oh, life alert. My health is okay. I'm really glad I took resist fire. I think you need to wiggle. Ice form. 1 minute? What shouts did he give these guys? We have 19 seconds left. If you think I'm not gonna wait it out the whole time. That's bad. Health is super low. I don't think I can get out of this. Go ahead, food. get up to use fire. Interesting. I think this entire save is rage bait. Okay, old man is coming in hot. Send him flying. Oh, it's so hard to dodge that. I gotta, oh, Jesus. No, I can't wait the entire minute. I'm going back to the first save, leave a few more seconds. I gotta think, okay? It's two old men. Hardest part is getting the first one. We need to immediately, find a safe place where we can dodge. I don't think that the shouts can go through the stone pillars directly in front of me. I'm gonna try to give myself another save. And immediately, I hear cover. Nice, they miss. Give myself another save. Probably don't want this one. We go slow motion. Where'd he go? Hey, dude, he's over there. Hey, that one got me, but I'm not totally frozen. This guy's gonna have an open shot on me.
Okay.
Resist fire. Send him flying. Oh, we got both of them. If both of them are down, they can't both attack. So, bam. Momentum. Missed me.
I found another particle in my hand.
Come on, get up on the rock. Got him. We almost got him. Lined it up here. He missed.
It's way more extra than the one I found.
Oh, you missed me.
Yeah.
Stun him. Oh, shit. I lost my shield. No idea where I went. This guy's gearing up for another shout. Not that one. I gotta find my shield. We were so close on that first old guy. That's not good. If I create good distance, they are easier to dodge. Oh, they use break dancing. Yeah, if they knock me ragdoll off screen. I don't think we want this save. God, wait, the heat unfroze me? Get up, old man. God damn it. This is elder abuse, man. This is not fair. Stop it, please. When I get free from this ice, you two are fucked. Oh, God dang it. I didn't take any damage there.
If you want to.
Do we wait this one out?
I love that.
Every time he comes up for air, they dunk his head underwater again.
Did you?
This is gonna be really hard.
You can't siphon it out of the fucking
Let's try
car.
this save.
Wow.
I don't have enough time there to get the dodge on the first fire attack. Send him flying, see ya. Dodge. No. Okay, somehow missed. Go, get off my mountain. We got him. One old man down. You're next, Arnier. Arnier. No. I didn't save. Got him. chief here. We got one old man down. Bring it. Bring it. This motherfucker cheats at bingo. I know it. Beat him to the corner. Beat him to the edge. Angle of pursuit. Where'd the shield go? Oh my god. Oh god. Oh god. No! Terminal velocity reached. This is fine. Nah, I'm good, bro. I mean, that is not just picture perfect. This is artwork. Maybe I landed somehow. No, I'm dead. Okay, shield. Ram old man. Achieve victory. Hey, we're alive. We're not alive, we're slowly dying. I mean, there's a chance that it just fell off the mountain. Or like he shouts again, it hits the shield and throws it. I'm dead. Then it's true, I can stun with unrelenting force. Woo. Doesn't help if I miss. I didn't think that they would be hostile. I thought I would just have to knock them off, you know? Oh, it's gory. It's not Arn gear. We already got Arn gear. Woo. Back off. No shield. Shield might be gone. We might have to start over. I didn't realize I could use the full Foots Rodot. I feel like that makes things too easy. Right? Doesn't that make it a little bit easy? Fuck no, specialist. Fuck no. I know mods deleted it, but no. Kill me. End me. Enemy! Coward. You're a fucking coward, Lori. I always knew you were a coward. Alright, let's see if I can out that way. Nitro, thank you for gifting one. Appreciate it. I've only... I think we have to start over, though. Because without the shield... That disarm is tough. But like, okay, what do you guys think? Do we...
Previous owner.
I don't think we should use
There's all
unrelenting
the
force.
fucking weed. There's like no weak one.
Yeah, we need the shield. You might have another shield in inventory. I don't think I do. Let me check.
Looking good today, huh?
Bro, it's been in my inventory the whole time. Not only do I have a second shield in my inventory, this one's been in my inventory the whole time. You guys are right. You guys are right. Going back to substitute teaching. preparatory. I wasn't cut out for gaming. As my students tell me, I'm shocked. Now, but you know what that means? Comica, thank you for 4 months. You know what that means? It means this old fart is completely and utterly fucked. It's revenge time, bitch. Get up. Ram. That's right, I'm also a high school football coach when I'm not substitute teaching. This is gonna take a while. Oh, dude, it's so hard to get the right angle. You know, like charge it up. Bam. Like that. He's gotta be standing square. If he's squared up. Oh my god. Old man swinging at the road. And he's swinging in air. The good news. The good news. My opponent appears to be blind. We just have to wait him out. All caps glaucoma. Wait, is that the thing for your eyes? No, glaucoma is something else. Does glaucoma make you blind? Medical terminology check. Oh, it does. Hulk is educated.
Oh, fuck.
Astro.
Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome. Alright.
I recently made this 17-pound copper tube to experiment with Lenz's law using this terrifyingly powerful neodymium magnet. It's fascinating to watch this magnet seemingly defy gravity while it floats.
For Valentine's Day, I'm gonna Trump out of office.
In the last video we tested...
In 2017, Capcom released Not a Hero, Land and Zone, two brand new story DLCs designed to provide closure to the Baker family, and tie together lingering plot points from Arkham 7. Unlike the main game, which relied heavily on classic survival horror and performance media, these two expansions abandoned fear in favor of a more action-oriented experience, creating a jarring yet refreshing contrast between the different pieces of content. Now, Resident Evil 7 has its fair share of DLC, and just a couple of months after its launch, Capcom released the banned footage content pack. which offered bite-sized flashbacks that not only expanded on the lore, but also the core gameplay. These experiences felt more grounded and closely aligned with the tone of the base game, especially when it came to horror. If you want to hear more about the fan footage content, feel free to check out my previous video. Now, to truly experience everything that Resident Evil 7 has to offer, we must once again see the world through the eyes of someone new, someone just as protective as they are unhinged. End of Zone begins with a decision and a promise, the moment that ultimately decided her fate. After not receiving the antidote from Ethan, Zoe wanders deep into the swamp in an effort to escape the atrocities of her family. But no matter how far she runs, Evelyn will always find her.
Please.
Zoe is punished and calcified for helping Ethan and Mia escape. There's no end to her suffering as she lies still in the middle of the swamp, waiting silently for anyone to come and rescue her. She's quite literally a prisoner trapped in her own body, another victim of the world. She remains in this coma-like state for weeks, and just as all hope is lost, she is discovered by 2 BSAA agents and her distraught uncle, Joe.
Zoe Baker. She's still breathing. Call in HQ. Say Zoe. Sir, you've been here. What the hell wrong with her?
Joe Baker is Jack's aggressive and unhinged older brother, and he's not one for conversation. No, he prefers to let his fists talk.
No, no. So what the God thing you done? Sir. Oh my goodness. Zoe. What the hell do they do to you?
Not knowing what happened to Zoe, Joe immediately brings her back to his shack along with a couple of BSAA operatives, who is now tied to a chair and forced into questioning.
Tell me, what kind of help comes in a helicopter launch?
Joe has been out of the loop for quite some time. Apart from fighting the mutated alligators, he's been blind to the entire situation. In his eyes, the BSAA are the ones who brought the monsters to the swamp. He knows nothing about the Baker's family. He's a retired Marine frontiersman with deep life, and it's been 3 whole years since he's made any contact with his brother or other family members. They stopped speaking just as the mold began to ravage the estate. Physically angry and confused, Joe needs answers. He needs to know what happened to his niece, and to find out what he wants, he resorts to his natural instincts, kick the shit out of the operator.
Life is tough, and you ain't gonna kill my family. See, that ain't something I don't mind. Sick. She's infected. She's dying, and we're both gonna be dying. You're getting it right now. No. Shake that boy.
It's here where he learns that Zoe has been infected, and that the BSAA is here to help him. But Joe's ambush disrupted their attempt to extract her, leaving him with no choice but to find the cure himself. The agent tells him that the cure is in a shack nearby, and this is enough to send him deeper into the swamp. He vows to save Zoe by any means necessary. Unlike the claustrophobic hallways of the Baker house, you're thrown directly into light. The sound of frogs and critters fill the air. The water stays still. The trees sway with the wind as the mold begins to leak into the environment like an invasive species. Not even the dirt is safe from everyone's influence. In the base game, the bayou is a crucial part of the atmosphere, effectively serving as a character alongside the Bakers. It amplifies the decay, fear, and soil. In the DLC, the swamp fully develops it. It's an untamed beast, filled with death, and home to an apex predator, and it's not a mold. My favorite thing about this DLC is just how wild Joe Baker is. He doesn't hesitate to throw a right hook at any molding that stands in his way. He's a madman, and his combat is just straight up fun. He brings a level of brutality and insanity that feels cathartic. For the entire main story, Ethan was the prey, but in End of Zone, we get to play as the predator, someone just as feral as Jack himself. himself. Every single fight feels like a boxing match. He has combos and executions that completely eviscerate the moment. It's insanely goofy, and the entire DLC feels like a parody of the base game. It takes these creatures that Ethan once ran away from and turns them into punching bags, literally. Every mechanic surrounding Joe just adds to his character. He fights like someone who has nothing left to lose. He almost craves it. Part of me is glad he never got infected, because if Jack was insane, just imagine how Joe would have been. Oh, my bad. As Joe pushes towards the shaft, he decimates every mold in his path. And when he finally finds what he's looking for, everything starts to spiral. His shaft has been set ablaze. Someone or something doesn't want him to live. When he runs inside, he quickly gives Zoe the antidote. But it's not enough to do anything. She needs a full dose to be cured. And right now, that's something he doesn't have. Before the operator can help him, he is violently dragged to the wall by something he can't see.
And I'll take you there. Please. My face.
Joe, being the level-headed man he is, grabs Zoe and books it to the road. And as he drives past the raging fire, he gets his first look at the Swamp Thing, the main villain of the DLC. God damn it. The Swamp Man is completely encrusted in black mold. He's a monstrous, dominating figure that gives Joe a run for his money. He is not your standard mold. No, he's something much more. Since the spread of mold and the arrival of the PSAA, the Swamp Man has been terrorizing and hunting them like wild animals. And as soon as Joe gets Zoe to safety, it becomes clear that the PSAA have plans of their own. While looking for the cure, he finds tents full of equipment and documents, talks of the mutamycin and various quarantine protocols Drake set in Page. A giant wall has been put up as a way to contain the outbreak, making sure that nothing comes in or out. This is something they want swept under the rug. Joe's main goal is to cure Zoe. That's it. There's nothing else on his mind other than saving his niece, and he plans on using every tool at his disposal to make that happen. The gameplay and end of Zoe is incredibly simple, but there's more to the combat than just punching. While progressing further into the swamp, Joe crafts wooden spears out of scrap and sticks. These makeshift weapons are the only way to kill the mold from a distance. It also allows him to take on the giant alligators, which are easily the deadliest enemies in the entire DLC. Although there aren't traditional weapons, there is a way to increase the power of Joe himself. This is done by collecting boxing effigies around the area. Each effigy grants an increase in attack power. At first, it may not seem like a lot, but it definitely stacks up. Now, the way to the cure is pretty straightforward. The DLC itself is very linear. There's practically zero backtracking to be done. It's all a direct path. But during this time, Joe comes face to face with the Swamp Thing. Now, this isn't the actual boss fight. No, this is a little tease for what's to come. It's almost like he's testing Joe before the pay-per-view, which just so happens to take place on a wrecked ship. The fight begins after Joe does some text support on the synthesizer machine.
Oh, come on. This is it. Wow.
This boss fight is quite literally a boxing match. But instead of the matchup being between Jake Paul and a 73-year-old, it's, well, you know, Joe and Swamp Man.
The two of them catch some right hooks to the dome, and the occasional spear. The entire section feels like two Neanderthals going at it. It's beautiful. The fight ends when Joe rips Swamp Man's head off, which most definitely happened to a Neanderthal 300,000 years ago. Now that Swamp Man is dead and gone, Joe finally gives him the cure. Just like before, Joe hops the boat, but this time, instead of looking for the cure, he's now searching for his own. In the distance, he sees the Swamp Man walking across the fog. It's so slumped over the shore. He immediately rushes over, but he's met with nothing but this in the water.
Settlement, yeah.
From here, Joe encounters several different
They're
fights,
recovering
but
and
it isn't
steal
until
some
he
shit and
in the
leave.
church when he finally sees Sophie sitting peaceful at the altar. The Swamp Man has been Jack the entire time. In the main story, Ethan used the antidote on him during his final fight, but somehow the poisoned cells within his body survived. And once everything was defeated, he began to act on his own, free of her influence, but still damaged beyond repair. His regenerative abilities morphed into something far greater than they were before, making him nearly immortal. His main goal has been to capture Zoe, and there might be a glimpse of the old Jack still in there, trying to protect his daughter. But this is something we'll never know. The shock of realizing he's been fighting his own brother the entire time throws Joe off his game, and Jack uses that to his advantage.
Oh, wow, that was a lot of fucking English. Oh.
When Joe washes up on shore, he finds himself stripped of all his items. And as he walks along the bank, the cries of both the Blue Umbrella and the SAA howl, waiting. Jack has found him. All roads have led Joe to his brother's estate, the place where it all began. The area is surrounded by the mold, and in order to break the barricades, Joe's gonna need a little bit more power than his bare fists.
What the hell is this? One of that fancy cones?
Ready for use.
Okay, so this is definitely the craziest part of the entire Grill City. Joe finds an exoskeleton gauntlet known as the
Damn
AMG
it.
Gate, which was developed to assist in the transport of heavy equipment and supplies. Joe obviously isn't doing anything. The exoskeleton can reach a max output that exceeds 50 horsepower, while also having state-of-the-art shock absorbers, which leads to practically zero recoil on the user. It's safe to say he's in good hands, and so is the gauntlet, because the moment he gets his hands on it, what ensues is just pure and utter carnage. He can do the exact same combos as before, but this time they pack more of a punch. However, the main attack of the AMG is what really sets it apart from Joe's bare knuckles. The gauntlet can be charged up to unleash a devastating attack that can not only eviscerate the molding, but also break down metal barriers with ease. And once that barrier is broken down, it's time for Joe to push forward into the full house. There's something so satisfying about charging into the house and just punching everything in our path. The last time we were here, we crept around every hallway, slowly and quietly dodging Marguerite's gaze. But now it's just
balls to the wall action, and this pacing continues until Joe reaches the main house, which has now been gated off and surrounded by quarantine and research. It's a hollow shell of what it once was, and the same can be said about the bakers themselves. When Joe enters the house, Zoe is sat down at the table, and the funny thing about Joe is that he genuinely never sees the ambushes coming, because the exact same thing happens to him again. Zoe! Zoe! Wake up! Wake up! The entire final fight is a brutal yet merciful ending for Jack. Throughout the encounter, Joe talks about how they used to fight when they were kids, and Jack just yells at him to shut up. Die. Cracks in his former self start to become filled with hate and rage. Since their last meeting, Jack's attacks have evolved. He's become much more aggressive and vicious. At this point, he is too far gone to save, and the only way for him to escape his torment is to be put out of his misery. And that's exactly what Joe does.
Farewell, understanding, brother.
3 years of endless torture finally extinguished by his own brother. Now all that remains of the bakers is Joe, Zoe, and now that nothing is there to stop him, he does the one thing that Jack wanted to do the entire time: save his daughter.
You gotta be
Oh
alright.
no, they let all the fucking cows out.
Zoe,
What happened? Are you okay?
Come by, let's worry about it.
oh,
Go, 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 go. Don't move! Get your hands up! Get down! Weapons down. Weapons down.
it's alright. You must be Zoe Baker. Who the hell asked you? Chris Redfield. Been looking all over for you. I'm here to help.
Zoe is the most tragic character in the entire story. She had to endure a 3-year-long nightmare. She had to watch as her family slowly turned into vile, heinous monsters. She had to hide from her own family, the same people she once loved. She had been living on the edge of a knife, with no hopes of surviving. But after all this time, she can finally breathe. When Ethan left the meal, he made Zoe a promise. He swore he would bring help when he could. And that's exactly what he did.
I was trapped with the monsters for 3 years. All the kept from me. I kept thinking it's coming in.
You gotta know. Down somewhere. But you still your family. They loved you. Especially your dad. He was found dead. Found her. He's a tough kid. Of course. Hang on. Someone wants to speak to you.
Zoe. Zoe, are you there?
It's you. I don't believe it. You actually made it.
We both did.
You didn't forget about me.
I told you I'd send help. I always keep my promises.
Thank you, Ethan.
Like I said before, End of Zoe takes place weeks after the initial incident, and while Zoe was calcified, someone else in her family required special attention.
Is it ready? Can we begin? I can't help it, man. Got work to do.
The story of Not a Hero takes place immediately after the base game, which was weeks before it was up, and it follows Chris Redfield as he searches for Lucas in the salt mines beneath the house. His entire mission is to apprehend him and squeeze whatever information he can out of him, but he quickly realizes that he's dealing with someone far too evil to reason. Before the infection, Lucas was already a troubled man. He was disobedient, antisocial, quick to let his temper get the best of him.
the most sinister of all the Bakers, responsible for torturing innocent victims and the betrayal of his own family. Soon after Evelyn infiltrated his home, Lucas was approached by connections, the crime syndicate responsible for the E-type bioweapon. He quickly became part of the ranks, serving as a lead researcher and was tasked with keeping tabs on Evelyn and to spy on his own family. That is, until it all fell through. Anyone who came into contact with him with his twisted games, gambling, and life, regardless of the position in the company. And it just so happens that Chris has stepped into his pinstripe again. Upon entering the mines, Chris is briefed on the situation.
All right, I'm in the mine.
Signal strong. You're coming through loud and clear, Chris. We didn't get much from the first unit before we lost contact, but apparently Lucas turned the mine into his own personal hideout.
How many men did we lose?
3 of our best. Their last transmission was near a lab that should be just ahead. I'm going to need you to check it out.
Got it.
The BSAA and the former Blue Umbrella were the ones conducting the joint operation in Tulsa, Louisiana. This particular mission to find Lucas is referred to as Operation Fear. Chris is acting as a bioweapon specialist for the time being, and even though he is working alongside the Blue Umbrella, he still doesn't fully trust them. But that doesn't matter. He's a soldier obeying orders, and right now his loyalty lies with the mission. Playing as Chris feels like an entirely different experience compared to Ethan, who was completely untrained and timid with a gun. Chris, however, is as good as he gets. The molded are nothing to him. I mean, he's been around the block more than once. He takes them down with ease, and he even has his signature punch on top of all his weapons, which marks the second DLC where we get the punch hit. But for now, Chris makes his way through the tunnels, and it's not long before he finds the first missing BSAA operator, and a little surprise.
Get you out of here. Leave me. It's too late. We're both walking out of here.
I got no sleep.
What? That's not gonna happen.
Oh, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Now, you try to take that off on the floor. I must. My hand might slip in here. Now, here's the deal, Chris. You don't fall over. I'll bounce your head off the ceiling. Huh. Set it up for the social lane's turn. Adios. Muchachos.
The game has just begun, and Lucas already has the upper hand. At any point, the bomb on Chris's wrist can go off, and the only way to survive is to keep moving. So that's exactly what he does. Lucas has used his squad members as bait, and of course, Chris is gonna bite. For the entire DLC, Chris is pretty much just moving between a few different sections within the mines, which are all connected via one central hub. In order to progress deeper into the sections, he needs to obtain special items in the form of night vision, air filters, and ramp rod. But each discovery comes with a cost. Throughout the DLC, Chris is tested both physically and mentally. He is subjected to brand new mold variants, ones that are far more aggressive than what we've already seen within the Baker House. He is forced into horrific situations where all he can do is watch, as his fellow soldiers are brutalized right in front of him. As the title of the DLC suggests, Chris is not a hero. He's just a man, a soldier trying to complete a mission. And I think that really adds to the evolution of his character, which means he's no longer punching holes. Even though I liked how they made Chris more grounded, I can't say the same for his character design. But Chris is alone. He's failed to save his men, and all he has left is the mission with a bomb strapped to his wrist. Lucas has him beat. He's corralled him into a corner with nowhere to go, and it's here that Lucas starts to clock.
So, it's not before dead soldiers. You're going to fail, then you are going to die.
Chris's death is now imminent. He frantically runs through the tunnels as the clock ticks down, forced to find a way to defuse the bomb before it's too late. And he does so when he finds a vat of liquid nitrogen, which he then uses to defuse the bomb.
I did it.
Take it out before it thaws and restarts.
Lucas, being the slimy little rat he is, runs and hides behind the mold. He sends waves of enemies after Chris, but even that doesn't prove to be enough. Because once the mold retreats, Lucas sets the mines to
Cows all
self-destruct,
back in the
causing
fucking
Chris to
pen.
stumble into the home of Connections, the research facility. The Connections built this lab to monitor Evelyn after the crash of the SS Anna. It also served as a research facility for various mold experiments. We actually get an inside look into the conditions
I
that
hate
Lucas
when
subjected.
lasers come
We
in
get to
and break
read
my
about her
fucking
status for her, getting a glimpse into what life was like for her after the crash. Her room, a mess. The mold room free, the walls were painted with blood of the researchers. The same ones Lucas murdered. Everything about this place is unsettling. After killing all the researchers, Lucas felt like it was the perfect time to cut ties with the Connections. He felt that he was the only one who could make good use of Evelyn's abilities, and now he seeks to sell the e-data from the lab to an unknown buyer. He claims that more people should know about Evelyn and her powers. This is the very thing Chris has come to stop.
Lucas!
After sending the email, Lucas sprints out of the room, and Chris follows closely behind. And when they finally come face to face, Chris doesn't hesitate to put a bullet in his dome.
I can't. I don't. No. I don't believe it.
Believe it. It's over.
No. No way.
Just shut up and accept it, Lucas.
You love that, wouldn't you? Oh boy.
Got a situation down here?
After getting shot, Lucas begins to melt into this giant molten mass, which then mutates into a grotesque and vicious monster. This is the first time Lucas has been the most physically threatening person in the room. Each time we've gone toe-to-toe with it, it's been a battle of wits. But this time, it's all about force. Lucas leaps around the arena and slashes his arms in violent, blind frenzy. The fight itself is a stereotypical Resident Evil fight. We've got to shoot that glowing weak spot until he pops, and eventually, he does. And with one final bullet, Chris puts an end to Lucas's reign of terror.
Game over. Finally.
Chris, the data transfer is almost complete.
How do I stop it?
You need to find a way to shut down the server. There may be some transformer relays you can. Okay, that worked. Gonna be some pissed computer techs up here.
From the river. What's the sit rep?
The facility is clear. Even the newer breeds have been neutralized.
I'm out of here.
Not a hero, and End of Zoe bring closure to the story of Resident Evil 7, focusing on the aftermath of the nightmare in their own unique ways, while also ditching the intimate horror of the base game in favor of action, which was a bold choice, considering the fact that RE7 was made to break that trend. End of Zoe offers one of the craziest and most unhinged experiences you can have in a Resident Evil, and it's genuinely unforgettable. It also gave the most tragic character in the story the happy ending she deserved, and introduced us to the absolute legend that is Joe Baker. Unlike End of Zoe, Not a Hero plays it relatively safe in terms of its gameplay. It's very straightforward, but when it comes to the story, it provides a lot of context to the overarching narrative. Some would even say too much. I definitely think End of Zoe is the true standout between the two, and I'd even go as far as saying it's the craziest Resident Evil DLC of all time.
I rarely get freaked out, but for some reason, this one's doing it for me. Hell yeah, let's go!
I woke up today fully expecting to suffer.
There's still no way to escape. Oh, fire, dude! Hands up!
Phil and I are hiding in the car, trying to take in as much heat as we can before we go outside and suffer for the sake of this week's episode of KCPA.
Well, you're all nice and warm, bumping up in your homes.
16 feels like -2. Let's go.
It's like Dumb and Dumber when they're on the mopeds. Had to hit the record button with my nose. Can't even see anything beneath this foot of snow.
Go around, down.
All the way around. Man, down already. That was the slowest, weakest fall ever. It's another cold day in hell. And we're about to do something pretty foolish. Traverse one of these 4 pipes. We did this one last year. The closest one to us right now that's blasting water out.
Well, glad we're not doing that.
Strangely brown looking. Yeah, we did this one last year. We ended up underneath Target or Walmart, and we promised we were going to check out at least one of these. There's 3 remaining.
Oh, wow, bro. Yeah, we might have a hard time on that one.
Kind of stinks a little bit too. All right, I'm going up for the climb.
Ooh, I don't know, bro. That side looks really hard to get up. Careful, dude. Nice.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Wasn't too bad.
It doesn't get any less slippery inside.
I already found this like the hardest video to record ever in an early preview. I just slid like 10 feet in the opposite direction, Phil.
I'm out of breath. Get up and start again. It's a crawl all the way. All right, let's go. Camera? Sure, I'll show you my way. See if it'll slide. Here we go. Oh, the other KCPA.
No, that was the greatest photography ever.
Well, the knees work right. I think this is going to be the longest hand knees crawl we've ever done.
Let's find out.
There might be some concrete up there. See that? Let's hope. Be nice to stand up. Look at that, crouch. I mean, if you're crouching, I should be all right. Let's see. Gloves are soaked. It sounds like an earthquake. The tunnel, yeah. Okay, I'm coming.
they're not bad animals.
President, most of this racist meme depicting former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle
Does it really?
just posting that as a distraction to take your eyes off the Epstein files, okay? They bogus. No, he was releasing the Epstein files as a distraction from the fact that ICE is basically acting as the secret police and the Gestapo and murdering American citizens. Pretty sure ICE started murdering Americans as a distraction for the fact that we kidnapped the president of Venezuela and put it all for this oil. I'm pretty sure we invaded Venezuela and kidnapped the president as a distraction from the fact that Trump